This was a solid episode that both James and I enjoyed for a lot of the character development and the overall story progression and kind of giving us that background ambience of this great tale.
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Episode 6, Road of Hope.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and state alchemists of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and this is James, and we're here together today to bring you another review on the awesome and alchemy-filled tale, Brotherhood. Now, following the events of the last episode, and basically to kind of shorthand that up for all of you, Al got busted up, and Ed's arm is just completely foobarred. And for those that don't know what that means, foobar is fucked up beyond all recognition. Anyway, so as the episode goes and starts out and picks up, we know that they're gonna go. They have to go to what's the Risen Bowl, where they grew up, where they came up. We saw in the flashback at Automail, and the character that they call Granny, and we find out in this episode that she's not their biological grandmother, but she's just kind of an older grandmotherly type, and this and that took them in. But so they start out. They're on the train, Ed and Al, right? And well, we don't even see Al.
Yeah, because he's actually the Armstrong alchemist, Alex Louis Armstrong, whatever you want to call him, put Al in the back with all the animal and the cargo, because I think he mentioned something about it being cheaper.
Cheaper, and then I think too, because Al's still pretty busted up, so it's kind of like anybody who ever saw the Star Wars movies and Empire Strikes Back, C-3PO gets taken apart,
and he's in
Chewie's back, and he's in basically this little crate, for just half of the movie. It's very comical the way it's done. Anyway, very similar in this. But so they're on there, and Alex Louis Armstrong, as you mentioned, he's obviously on the train with him. He took the trip with him, and he winds up at a random stop noticing this guy that he calls Dr. Marcoh, and he's some sort of bio-alchemist. Used to be a state alchemist, but then he just freaking pulled a ninja vanish one day. Whatever he was working on, just took his stuff and just got out of there, right? So anyway, so they at this stop, so they wind up going and do they look him up, or Armstrong knows where he lives or something like that? They followed him because he takes off on him.
Yeah, they just kind of follow him or something like that, or maybe I don't know the details, but maybe they use like X-ray or something.
Whatever the case may be, they wind up showing up at the guy's house, and they sit down and talk with him, and basically he says about before he wound up taking his research and leaving, he also took a philosopher's stone, right? Yeah. Which was kind of cool, because for me, man, my heart was pumping. There's the guy's pulling it. So he pulls out this little vial that looks like it's got like some Terminator 2 liquid metal, liquid mercury in it. It's red. Yeah. And goes and he pours out this stuff, and it just like floats and creates a ball. And they talk something about how the Philosopher's Stone isn't necessarily a stone. That's just kind of a name that it's given it, as many names are given to
like
it.
The fifth element.
Yeah, it's basically, it's something that just kind of describes this ultimate thing, Turns out, though, this isn't even a real Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, it's just another fake one, like with Father
Like
Cornello.
the Father Cornello one, which I like that they kind of put that together and then made that kind of, you realize that there's ones that are actually like these duplicates or these copies,
the fake.
Well, they talk a little bit with Dr. Marcoh, and then they go on their merry way. And one of the things that I liked that for me stuck out is that then Alex Armstrong over there, he says to Ed, he says, you could have just taken it from the Philosopher's Stone, even though it was a copy. It might have been some help to you and your brother. And what I liked is they're a couple of stand-up guys, man. Even all the shit that's happened to them, all the turmoil, losing their mother, everything else, right? Working for the government's dogs and all that sort of stuff, whatever you want to say. That these 14 and 15-year-old kids still have some morals about them, and they were like, you know what, this is the only doctor in town, and obviously they would have had to take it from him by force, hurt him, maybe even kill him, and they're like, no, that's not how we roll. Not for the opportunity to maybe get something.
Yeah, to maybe get some in return. Yeah. I mean, the chances of them actually getting a Philosopher's Stone on a fake one,
well, and who knows? I mean, it's a fictional anime, so I'm not going to go and get into odds and chances and everything else. But I just like how they actually have a little bit of morals to themselves, despite being kicked down, as they have been for most of their life. I mean, their father took off, their mother passed away, all this bad stuff has happened to them. It's a long list of doom and dread for these two. But so that was the beginning of the episode, and then the rest of the episode winds up taking place as they hop back on the train, and they wind up making it out to Granny's out in the sticks there in the mountains at Risen Bowl at Automail, and they run into Granny and Winry, and Winry's kind of like the gearhead, mechanic that does all this other stuff, and they basically sit down and they say, listen, she says, you guys got busted up, this and that. But while they're having this friendly banter and talking and catching up on things, Ed says, listen, we're kind of in a hurry. Is there any chance that you could make me a new arm and do it in 7 days? And then you thought it was important.
Yeah, and then like Granny was like, no way. And we can do it in 3 days. You got to give us a little bit of credit.
3. But here's the thing, right? And this is just my rough math. And again, I'm not a mathematician, okay? But, and neither are you, to be fair.
What are you talking about?
But if you have 7 days, and then you tell me you can do it in 3, but Winry says I'm going to have to pull 3 all-nighters, essentially staying up for, 72 plus hours. And I think I've hit about 60 before, and you start to see stuff and get delirious.
You're like,
Here's the thing, though, right? Why not just do it in 6 or 7, get your full night's rest, and then I don't got some weird chick that's going and seeing shit working on my arm that's going to get attached to my body and my nerve endings.
yeah,
right?
I mean, for all you know, she could be like painting a unicorn on that thing.
Well, you never know what's going to happen with that. But anyway, so nonetheless, they decide they can do it in 3 days. We get a little bit of background, too, as Alex Louis Armstrong is doing some chores around the place. He goes outside, he chops down with his hands.
Yeah, with his fist, he's like...
Some trees with his fist. Brings some firewood into Granny, and he starts talking. We get a little bit of history about the Elric brothers. I guess basically the day that Ed became a state alchemist, they burned down their childhood home, so they have no childhood home to go back to. But the thing about it is, and I thought it was very symbolic, I think we both did, was that it was, and just like they said in there, it meant that there was no turning back. Even though these are younger kids, teenagers, right, so to speak, a lot of times you'd say, well, they might not have as much conviction, maybe they run into some problems, maybe they give up after a few years or whatever, right? This is their way of burning their past and saying, we can't go back to it. And I thought it was very good.
No way, even if we do fail, we're gonna keep
exactly.
going.
Yeah, no matter what, it's what I mean. It's so it's success or death. What I mean. There's no coming back here and licking our wounds type of thing. So
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then really towards we wind up actually seeing a brief shot of that Dr. Marcoh again, and that crazy chick that has that was with envy and gluttony and all that. Back at Father Cornello's place was the last time we saw a couple.
She's just like sitting there as the guy closes his door, and she's like, "Well, we're waiting."
Yeah.
Around in the spinny chair.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I'm waiting.
So there was there was a bit of that going on that we saw, but for the most part, although not a very action-packed episode, I enjoyed it for what it was, which was giving us some character development, some background, and really by the end of the episode, Al winds up getting, Ed gets his arm back. Of course, they had to tweak his leg or something as well.
Yeah.
And then he winds up using his arm, which is ironic because that's the joke going through. He's not tall, but then he has to use the alchemy and the arm to fit. He's the only one that can fix Al.
Yeah, because Al, like the soul and the armor thing, Ed's the one who did it. So I think if somebody else tried to do it, I think they might accidentally do it wrong or something like that, like destroy it.
Or maybe it's just that the magic or whatever is bonded, the alchemy is bonded to that person or something. You explained it to me very good when we were talking about getting everything started.
Yeah, I don't know why, but just camera.
But everything winds up well, and for me it adds 10 pounds. But actually, they say for the normal person it adds 10 pounds. For me, it adds about 48.5 pounds. Actually,
that's not healthy.
So not at all.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the episode wraps up though with them kind of going and saying their goodbyes and Granny inviting them back for some food every now and then. And I thought it was nice too. The night before they leave, Al goes and says, "Hey, listen, even though Ed won't man up and say it, he's really thankful too, and we really do care for you, we miss you, we love you. For everything you do for us."
I think Ed, because all the stuff he's went through, he kind of tries to stay hard and not show any emotions.
Yeah, he's not as outward with his emotions, and Al is more of he's an open book with things. He's very honest, he's very forthright, he's very, so I definitely like the characters. I think they're pretty cool. And that's how things wrap up. Do you have an episode question that you could think of for the brothers and sisters? Or?
I mean, actually for Dr. Marcoh, what do you think is going to happen to him? Like, what's Luskin do? Is she going to kill him? Is she going to keep him alive for some weird experiment? I mean, what's going on with that?
All right.
What do you guys?
How about just overall thoughts on Dr. Marcoh, what we learned about the Philosopher's Stone, fake and real, and then just kind of leave that in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that we deserve it here, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Damn it, man.
Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, check out my other channels, and as always, thank you for watching.